You want all the shirts stacked on the edge of the table? Sure thing, boss. So I work at a clothing store on the sales floor. My job is basically to interact with customers to help them get what they're looking for and also fold, organize and store clothes. Now during my shift, there was this table that was just packed with clothes with piles that went super tall. So I decided to start with that table. And as I was working I noticed that there was a shelf under the table that was empty, and those shelves are normally used as storage for excess. And so my plan was to make normal piles and then store the excess in those shelves. Cause some of the rules of how things should look just say that you only need like 2 or 3 items of each size per pile, and to sort them from biggest size at the bottom to smallest at the top. And there's also an unwritten one, where, if the pile ends up small, to then add more until it reaches the bottom of the price sign. So I do that, I make piles that reach the bottom of the sign and then store the rest. Now, as I was starting to store the excess, one of the managers passes by and asks what I was doing. And so I explain what I already said here, and he doesn't like it, and he tells me to put everything on the table. So I explain to him why that's a bad idea, because it can make it harder for customers to get their size and easier for them to make a mess accidentally. But he doesn't care and just tells me to put everything back. So I do and just stack them. And the piles end up being very tall. I'm 6 feet 2 inches and some of the piles reached my chest. But that's what the boss wanted, so I finished and went away to do something else. Now, for context, our store also has a baby/toddler area, so obviously, parents sometimes bring their kids to buy clothes for them. Now, after I had left that table to work on something else, a father stood next to the table to wait for his wife and he had his kid on his shoulder. I don't remember why, maybe it was to burp it, or calmed it down, but now, as the father was swinging from side to side to calm the baby, he accidentally hit the side of the table. And some of the piles that were on that side fell down, behind the father. And as if it was a sign of the universe to show I had the right idea, just as the father was turning around to see what happened, the baby puked and because of the momentum, covered a lot of the shirts that were now on the floor. And so, we had no choice but to throw away those dirty clothes now. And there were a lot. Plus it got expensive, cause each shirt cost like $10 and there were easily like 10 to 15 maybe 20 shirts on the floor, so we lost a couple $100 there. And the worst part is that, the first manager that told me to just stack them, tried to pass the blame on to me. But I explained what happened to another manager, and they put the blame back on that first manager and he paid for the damages. Edit, okay, I messed up here. They didn't make him pay. That was just something I misinterpreted from what I heard happen to him, because he did get called in by his superiors. Because apparently, a lot of coworkers have had similar situations with that manager in the past and have been complaining about him.